Good day, everyone. My name is Michelle D. Clark, and I'm just a small town girl with big time dreams who God has shown his grace and his mercy, and he has definitely saved me from some life threatening things. You all, it is a terrific Tuesday on purpose. Why? Because I said so, and you can too. Welcome to Tuesday Talks with Miss Clark. LMSW at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yes, that's the name of the whole show. So that way you know where to show up. And whether you are watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, welcome. And if this is your first time, then welcome. And if it is your repeat supporting time, then we definitely say welcome back, everyone. So, all right, if you get a chance, make sure that you put your name in the chat if you have not registered with StreamYard, who is the source where I'm coming from. And so that way I can see your name, who you are, and you can always put in the chat like who you with, like what city or state or country that you are streaming in live from. So I see Shelly B and you say link please. So I'm wondering, I'm assuming that you are watching. So I'm not sure what link please means, but please feel free to put that in the chat. And first of all, let's just say that Shelly, you have a wonderful name because that's like my nickname. So I love it. So, okay. Oh, I had to tell you all something behind the scenes before we get started. So before we got started here, I'm telling you, I was having a heck of a time with some of this, with some of the technical aspects of the streaming. Out of 1 second, I was looking like mystical, magical. You know, I get a little crystallized or whatever. And my background's looking all crystallized. It's something else. So you all, let me tell you something. You do not have to be tech savvy in order to save lives, in order to help people, right? And we're all human. So it's progress over perfection. All right. And now I see Keisha E. Newton in the house. Hey, young lady, how are you? I know you're like, hey. So welcome. So glad to see you. And also you too, Shelly B. And anyone else, make sure that you put your name in the chat so I can give you a proper shout out if you would like one. If not, that's okay. You can always send some love and some hearts or something so I can know that you are out there. Now, also, real quick, station identification, right? If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and also click the little bell so that way you know when we drop new content, you'll be in the know, right? And it'll be reminders so that you'll know about our Tuesday talks every Tuesday with Miss Clark, LMSW, at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. If you're watching this on Facebook, of course, like this post, share this post, tell somebody about it. Don't let this be the best kept secret. And of course, if you're watching this on LinkedIn, do the same. Support. You know that little thing with the little heart, the little hand with the heart. So show some support. Oh, say that with peanut butter 3 times fast. But show some support by doing that and also forwarding to other friends and family. Alrighty, you all, and business professionals. All right, so before we get started, so those of you who are first time viewers, I want to make sure that you know the format. So the format is we start off, generally I'll start out with some tips or tidbits or something, some kind of fun facts or something like that. And then I go into the content, the topic what we're going to talk about today. And then we have, wait for it, we have rapid fire AMA, where you get a chance to ask me anything, right? Ask Miss Clark anything. No, it's not American Music Awards. It's not against medical advice. It is ask Miss Clark anything, right? And of course, if I'm talking about myself, I can just say ask me anything. All right, y'all. So now, like I said, normally I come with some tidbits or facts or something like that. Today, I just really kind of want to get down with get down, like kind of get into the topic. But if we did want to do any kind of fun facts or sayings or quotes or anything like that, there's a couple of things that's coming to my mind. And one thing is just do it. And that's a little bit about what we're going to talk about today, but not really. So Keisha's laughing at my against medical advice. I know, right? So the thing is, the reason that came to my mind was just do it. Is that I had some conversations earlier today, and sometimes we just are a little bit, no, like pun intended, like dangerously, but we're a little gun shy, meaning we're a little afraid to pull the trigger. We have a lot of good ideas. We have a lot of good things that we want to do, a lot of good ways that we want to strategize and help people or help ourselves even, but we don't do those things because something's holding us back. Because there's some kind of pullback, right? We're not pulling the trigger. There's some kind of pullback, something that's pulling us back. So that ties right into today's topic, you all. So if you've got a chance to listen to any of my lives today on Facebook, then you would have heard me say something to the effect of, we're going to talk about freedom. right? We're going to talk about freedoms. Now, freedom comes in different sorts, if you will. So, what are we talking about? We're like freedom of speech. Are we talking about freedom to jaywalk? Are we talking about freedom to drive? Freedom to what? Freedom to, well, actually, it's freedom to travel. There's not freedom to drive. To drive, it's freedom to travel, or is it like freedom of what, Michelle? Well, I really want you all to us to have a conversation, a dialogue about freedom in general, but I specifically wanted to key in on emotional freedom. Emotional freedom, you all. That's like the overarching topic today. So, yes, I'm Michelle D. Clark, the mindset management coach for professional women with Lift Nation, where we inspire women to live inspired free and transform. Yes, absolutely. And so it shouldn't be a surprise that this is the route that I want to go with the freedom for tonight. Now, we'll have different facets of freedom. And I would love to know what you all think in the comment section. So if there's something all one sided, okay, Jimmy, I don't know what we're talking about, but okay, cool beans. So the thing is that, and welcome, welcome, Jimmy. And so the thing is that, we, there's so many things that we could talk about freedom, and there's so many different perspectives. And tonight we're going to talk about emotional freedom. And throughout the month, we're going to talk about different types of freedom. Okay. So for tonight, when we're talking about emotional freedom, so many times when I am coaching with women. Now, some people might say, okay, just women. Yes. So when I do coaching, it is just with women. I'm also a licensed mental health therapist. So I do have clients who are males, but that's in the therapeutic arena, right? I also do therapy in a different organization where I'm working with children and family and youth, right? So all of those different facets that I'm able to work with people, but for coaching, for Lift Nation, for Lift Life Coaching Solutions, I work with women. I just wanted to make that clear. So, but talking about emotional. So when I'm coaching with women, I've run into so many times where there's something that's holding us back, something that's tugging on us. Now, it doesn't mean that each and every one of us have had some kind of trauma. It could have been a tragedy, or it could have just been an event that left some kind of negative impact. So just because we've been through a trauma or traumatic event doesn't mean that we are traumatized. So there is a difference. However, any kind of emotionally charged event that we've experienced, it can leave like a little imprint on our brain that may cause us to stop or to pause or to back up or any of those types of things, right? And so I want to get into those things. Before we get started, we kind of started. I forgot to tell you guys. So I've been having like this really dryness in my throat. I think it's because of the dry air now, especially with the changing of the seasons. My throat's been really, really dry. So when I stop to take a quick sip, then I want you guys to imagine that you're hearing some sort of elevator music, like da 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 da. And then when I get done, da, right? Okay, so here we go. Play the music right now. Give me 2.5 seconds. Okay, awesome. This is also a good place to put in there to make sure that we all stay hydrated. It's also important, especially in the Midwestern or in the states where we are getting northern region, where we're getting some of this nice, crisp, cool weather, to make sure that we stay hydrated. Okay, so back to our regularly scheduled program. So I was talking about how we sometimes have those imprints on our brains that stops us from doing the things that we know we should be doing. Now, when I had, I know, oh my goodness, Keisha's saying it's snowing on her side of the state, on the west side of the state. Okay, well, definitely pull out those blankets. So when I had, let's go back to the program. So when I had I had not my the, I had 2 strokes, and they stated that afterwards they were able to actually see the spot on my brain in which I had the strokes. Well, when we have emotional scarring, unfortunately, there's no test. There's no emotional brain test that they can do per se that can show the emotional scarring. Now, of course, they can show us images and they can see where the brain lights up and things like that. But there's nothing where they can say, right here is when this happened. When you were age 14, when you were age 13, when you were age 20, when you were now, when you were 5. There's no place that I'm aware of. And if there is, please put it in the chat. Please correct me because hey, listen, this is about learning, give and taking, right? But the bottom line is that, so when we experience something, it can leave a scar on us that stops us in our tracks from doing the things that we would automatically, or I should say automatically, but something that we might normally do for people in our peer group, if you will. Everybody has that something. It doesn't have to be, again, something that's huge like a car accident. It doesn't have to be like a house fire. It could be that little Johnny, I know Johnny gets such a bad name, right? Little Johnny in maybe fourth grade said, "Oh, you have a big forehead." And now you may say to yourself, "Oh, I do have a big forehead." Now you start wearing bangs and you carry that throughout your life. Now, that may not stop you from becoming Miss America. It may not stop you from being the president. It may not stop you from being, a doctor. But it may give pause to certain aspects within your life. So even the smallest little emotional tears, so it doesn't have to be a full scar, but little tearing can create impact, long lasting impact that could potentially get us that freeze or pause effect. So if anybody want to share in the chat, you can. I know and it doesn't have to be anything your deepest, darkest secret, unless you want to share. That's fine. But if not, you can definitely hit me on the back end. We can talk about that as well. If you want to hit me up, you can go to www.bit.ly/mindset with Michelle. And for that one, it is a 30-minute session, but I call it a 20-minute conversation and exploration. In those sessions, we find out if we can work together and we do some exploration. But in addition to that, sometimes people just want a quick pick me up, if you will. And so a better place actually for that is on Saturdays. Every Saturday, starting with last Saturday, we start our Freedom at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's a Zoom. So that way we get a chance to see each other face to face and talk to each other. When I say face to face virtually, right? We get to talk to each other in a Zoom atmosphere, not with me on a screen and me looking at the typings of what you guys putting in, but us actually being able to square up and look at each other and have a really interpersonal conversation, very personalized conversation. So that would be a good place for you to meet. And again, and that I will make sure to put in the chat section after this is done. So make sure to check back and I'll have it in here. And I'll also post it on Facebook, on LinkedIn, YouTube. I'll make sure to have the link on there so you all can register. It is FREE to attend. Again, it is every Saturday, 1 p.m. So it's Freedom at 1. Freedom at 1. And you register for that and jump on the Zoom. But at any rate, I want to share a personal story of mine. So something that personally has happened to me that left some emotional tearing, if you will. So some people may already know this, especially if you've heard me speak on big stages. But I told a story about how when I was 14 years old, how I was raped when I was 14. So he was 19 years old. Now, when that happened, it changed my whole schema, which is a collection of ideas that I had about myself, groupings of ideas. It changed my whole self-identity. So when he stole my virginity, he also stole my self-identity because I thought that I was going to be walking down the aisleway wearing all white. If y'all know what I mean, for real, right? Virgin. And so when that happened, I felt dirty, tainted, disgusting. I felt ugly. I felt worthless. I felt like something that just be used up and cast aside. And so I began to behave that same way. And so because of that one incident, that one trauma, that one tragedy that happened, I began to conceptualize myself in a way that was negative. And anything that was negative, it was like it stuck to me. Anything that was positive, I like foo-fooed it or sabotaged it. Because depending on what our self-image is, it's harder for us to outperform our self-image. Once we get to a certain point that starts to supersede our self-image, we start to self-sabotage. So if you're wondering to yourself, if you ever had, maybe not you, maybe some of you know, but if you've ever had that experience, like every time it seems like I get to X amount of income, either at a job or my business or my bank account, or in my ethos or whatever, was it Ethereum? You know, something always happens in my IRA. Something always happens. Oh, the stocks went down, or this went down, or something, layoffs, cutbacks, whatever. Does, have you found yourself saying that? It doesn't matter wherever I'm saying something else now. Wherever I go, I always seem to have to walk far. Whatever happens, nothing ever turns out good for me. I always take 2 steps forward and 1 step backwards, or worse yet, take 1 step forward and 2 step backwards. If we find ourselves saying these types of things, it's generally because there was a hiccup and a hookup somewhere. There's a hiccup and a hookup somewhere in our ideology, our thoughts about ourselves, our self-image, how we view ourselves. And now some people, because I stopped saying self-esteem, because some people, I gotta have a good self-esteem. I think I look good. Self-esteem is not always about exterior gratifications, if you will, exterior appearance. Self-esteem goes way more than that. So now I start to use the word self-image. How do we see ourselves? How do we imagine ourselves? How do we visualize ourselves? How do we conceptualize ourselves? It makes a big difference. So depending on how we see ourselves, it shapes how we see everything else. It colors how we view everything else. And so we talk about that emotional freedom, you all. We have to place ourselves, first conceptually, visualize ourselves in places that are better for us, that's good for us. And it doesn't have to, when I say places, it doesn't necessarily mean like the Bahamas. Or I'm just saying that right now because it's really cold out here in Michigan and I could really use some nice, good weather. But it's not that bad. It's only like what, 40s, 50s today, something like that, 30s. So bottom line is, when I say place, it could be, where are you in your life right now? So I want everybody to just do this exercise with me. Think, where are you in your life right now? Let's act like we're at the mall or something, and you're at the "you are here." When you close your eyes and think about, where do you want to be? Where do you see yourself? It could be tomorrow. It could be 2 years from now, 5 years, 10 years. Where do you see yourself? Imagine yourself there. It's okay. So now let's pretend. Let's imagine. Let's visualize. I like to say pretend because sometimes we take ourselves back to our childhood. We may not be able to undo the damage or the pause that may have happened, the hiccup in our hookup somewhere. But if we go back far enough, maybe we can iron some things out. We can rewrite what has happened. So where do you want to be? Where do you see yourself? What do you look like? What are you wearing? Who are you talking to? Who are you associating with? What kind of car are you driving? What kind of home are you living in? What does your community, your neighborhood look like? Are you working for yourself? Or are you working for someone else? Are you working at all? Are you retired? What's going on? Really paint that picture. Now, this is going to be a home practice assignment. I see we're already, for Pete's sakes, we're already like 18 minutes in or something like that. 18, 37 seconds in. Give me a second. Quick drink. So I do want to leave some moments. So if you do have any questions, you can put them in the chat. You can start putting them in the chat now, so that way when we get to the AMA, we can go ahead and start addressing it. And again, that's Ask Ms. Clark Anything. For those of you, welcome again. This is Tuesday Talks with Ms. Clark, LMSW, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we are talking about emotional freedom. And this isn't going to be a one and done conversation, y'all, because it's not a one and done experience. It's not a destination per se. It's a journey. It's something that we have to do, something steps that we have to take on an ongoing basis, particularly if that thing, whatever that is, that has put that tearing, that scarring, that stop, that pause in our progress, the deeper it is, the longer it's going to take for the recovery, potentially. So, emotional freedom, being able to imagine ourselves where we are, where we want to be. Let me say this. I just got something that popped in my mind. I was thinking about some work that I did with a young lady, and it was so powerful for her. And it was so powerful for me to be able to see it unfold in front of me. What we did was there was a place in her life, and I'm changing some of the aspects for anonymity, right? But there was a place in her life where she had a hiccup in her hookup. Let's just say that when she was younger, she was, let's say she was abandoned. She was abandoned by her mother. She was abandoned by her mother. Pretty huge. So what we did was we talked about, first we talked it out, and we talked about what it would look like. Let's rewrite the past. Let's rewrite our past. And I had her to rewrite her past. We talked about it first. So we talked a little bit about what would that look like. So if your mom hadn't abandoned you, if your mom was the type of mom that you would want, and the type of mom that you would want to be, what would that look like? How would that mommy for you look like? And so we talked it through what that would look like. And then her home practice assignment, because yes, I do give HPAs, y'all. Home practice assignment. So the home practice assignment I gave her was to write it out. Sometimes it's hard to write it out. Sometimes you need to talk it out into an apparatus, and then you can type it out listening to it back, or write it out in your own handwriting. That's actually more powerful, y'all. So I had her write it out. Then the next session, I had her come to me and I had her to read to me what she wrote. And it was so wonderful. It was so beautiful. The relationship on that paper, the relationship that she imagined, that she envisioned for herself and her mom was so phenomenal. And then the next step that we did was, after she read it to me, we talked about it some more. We added a little more details to it. And then in our next session, we did a role play. And I role played it out with her. And I was her mom, and she was her at the age of 5. And we imagined different scenarios. We went shopping together, where I packed her lunch before she went to school. I took her to school. I hugged her and kissed her as she was on her way into the door. I talked to her in lovingly tones. Oh, I just got a shiver right now. So and there was more and more and more. We basically recreated the image that she imagined in her mind, that she put on paper, that she spoke out to me, that we added some more details, and we reenacted that. And she told me that it was so emotionally freeing for her, that she actually felt like she was there. But she actually felt like she was with the mom that she always wanted but never had. Now, there was some frameworks that we did to get her prepped for that. You don't just go into this kind of scenario cold. There are certain ways that we help to set our clients up, that I help to set my clients up to be able to go into this type of a session, because it can be very, put it like this, if we take something apart and we don't know how to put it back together, it can be very detrimental to the person. Like we talk about, peeling the onion, if you will. Right? So there's ways that we do that. But we can't get into that right now, and we won't get into that right here. But definitely, if you want to connect with me, let me put this here. I want to put this here. So it's HTT, well, let's just put it here, bit.ly/mindset with Michelle. Let me put that in. And that's MICHELE. That is 1 L in Michelle, because you don't need 2 L's when one does the same, right? So catch me at bit.ly/mindset with Michelle. and that you can book your free, no cost 20-minute conversation exploration with me. And it's not so that way we can, really get into, it's not really exploration, if you will. It's to explore whether or not we work well together or not. That's what it's really about. It's about if we're a good fit for each other. And so I would love to know. So connect with me. I love connect with you. You can also reach me. So if you want to shoot me an email, that's cool. I do emails. Hit me up at clarkmd at lift. Hold on, I need to put my glasses on, y'all. Lift Life Coaching Solutions with an s.com, right? I think I spelled that correctly. I'll see when it comes up on the screen. Let's see here. What say you? Clark MD. Nope. I left my ad out. So let's take that off of here. So I know, right, Keisha? I'm gonna get my life right. But Clark MD at Lift Life Coaching Solutions.com. All right, you all. I think that's it. Again, I'm typing without looking at it. So I believe that's it. Yep, Clark MD at liftlifecoachingsolutions.com. All right, cool beans. So you can check me out there as well, and you can shoot me an email, and then we could connect that way also. So I see we're actually at 8:26 and 35 seconds. So if you do have any questions for our AMA, please feel free to do so. If you want to shoot me an email, you can always shoot me an email and send me a rapid fire questions there as well. All you have to do is in the subject matter, just put in there rapid fire AMA, and then you can ask your questions and I can make sure that they get posted on here. You can also hit me up on any of the social medias, right? If you go to basically on every media handle is pretty much Michelle D. Clark. It's either going to be all together or there's going to be a space in there, but Michelle D. Clark Lift is where you're going to find me anywhere on any social media, whether it is up there, and there it is, Michelle D. Clark Lift, right? Or Michelle D. Clark Lift or space Michelle D. Clark. But you got to spell it with one L because you don't need two and one does the same. So, all right, you all. I hope this was helpful. I hope this helped. So make sure, again, we have this Saturday, so that is 11/19 at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have our Freedom at 1, right? So Freedom at 1, again, that is Freedom at 1. So that's like 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure I'm going to put in the chat after we're done. I'll put in the comment sections rather. I'll put the link where you can register so that you can be a part of the conversation. Because again, that's a Zoom. So that way we actually get a chance to interact with each other. I love interacting with others. I'm a people person. Love them. I love people. And so, and I'm sorry, it is for women only. I'm sorry, guys. I know I had somebody in the chat earlier say, "Oh, so one-sided." It was a guy, so I'm sorry about that. It is for women only. Again, this is Lift Nation, so Lift Nation's Freedom at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time this Saturday at 1 p.m. So come join the conversation. We'll be talking about this. We'll be talking about emotional freedom, and we can get into some of those things. So, all right, you all. If there are no questions, then we will get ready to sign out. But again, this Saturday, we will have our Lift Nation Freedom at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, all right, everybody. Again, I just want to put that, let's see, let's put the bit.ly back up there as well. So if you all do want a free conversation exploration with me, again, you can reach me at bit.ly/mindset with Michelle. That's one L in Michelle because you don't need two and one does the same. All right, everybody. I love you all to life. And I know some people are like, oh, well, how do you love me to life? You don't even know me. I don't need to know you. I love you because you are. That's all. I love you because you are. You are who you are. We're all human beings, human becoming. So I love you because you are. All right, you all. My name is Michelle D. Clark. I am the mindset management coach for professional women with Lift Nation, where we do empower women to live inspired, free, and transformed. I look forward to seeing each and every one of you all next week for our Tuesday Talks with Miss Clark, LMSW, at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. In the meantime, take care and God bless.